Spain has been invaded, conquered, and rebuilt by more different civilizations than almost any other country on Earth. Celts, Romans, Visigoths, Moors, and Christians all ruled it at different times, left their blood in its population, and embedded their languages into its naming system. If your surname is Spanish, it is not pointing at one ancient people. It is pointing at a specific layer of that invasion history. And once you know how to read it, it tells you exactly which civilization your bloodline connects to most directly. Before we decode your surname, you need to know who was actually living in Spain before history started writing things down. The oldest inhabitants of the Iberian Peninsula were the Iberians, a collection of tribal peoples who lived along the Mediterranean coast and whose origins are still debated by archaeologists. Alongside them lived the Basques in the north, the same people we discussed in the O-negative blood type episode, whose language has no connection to any other language on Earth, and whose genetics point to Ice Age hunter-gatherer populations predating almost everything else in European prehistory. Then, around 600 BCE, the Celts arrived. Celtic tribes crossed the Pyrenees from Gaul and spread across the central and western parts of the peninsula, mixing with the existing Iberian populations to create a hybrid culture archaeologists now call the Celtiberians. These were not soft, artistic Celts. They were fierce, independent warrior peoples who gave the Romans more trouble than almost any other population they ever tried to conquer. The Celtiberians built hill forts across the Meseta, the high central plateau of Spain. They spoke a Celtic language. They used Celtic art, Celtic religious practices, and Celtic social structures. And their DNA, specifically high frequencies of the Y chromosome haplogroup R1b, the same marker associated with Celtic populations in Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, is still measurable in modern Spanish populations, particularly in the northwest regions of Galicia, Asturias, and Cantabria. If your Spanish surname traces to these regions, your bloodline may be significantly more Celtic than most people would ever guess from looking at a map. Rome conquered Hispania, as they called the Iberian Peninsula, in 206 BCE, after defeating the Carthaginians in the Second Punic War. What followed was 600 years of Roman rule, 600 years of Latin language, Roman law, Roman administrative systems, and Roman naming conventions embedding themselves into the population. The impact on Spanish surnames was total and permanent. The vast majority of modern Spanish surnames are built from Latin roots. Not because the original population was Roman, but because 6 centuries of Roman administration made Latin the language of power, education, religion, and record-keeping. Celtiberian names disappeared from written records within a few generations of Roman conquest, replaced by Latinized versions or entirely new Latin names adopted by local populations seeking advancement within the Roman system. Roman naming conventions introduced the concept of the family name, the nomen and cognomen of the Roman 3-name system, into Iberian culture. When hereditary surnames began solidifying in medieval Spain, they did so through a Latin linguistic filter that had been in place for 6 centuries. Latin root surnames, those derived directly from Roman personal names or Latin descriptive words, are the most common category in modern Spanish. Garcia, the most common Spanish surname in the world, derives from the Basque word jariz, meaning oak, but was Latinized in its form during the medieval period. Lopez derives from the Latin lupus, meaning wolf. Martinez, Fernandez, Gonzalez, Rodriguez. All of these are patronymic surnames built on the Latin suffix "ez", meaning son of, applied to Latinized versions of Visigothic personal names. Yes, because between the collapse of Roman rule and the arrival of the Moors, Spain had another ruler entirely. The Visigoths. the Germanic warrior people who swept into Hispania in the 5th century CE and ruled it for 300 years, leaving their personal names Fernando, Rodrigo, Gonzalo, Alfonso, embedded in the Spanish naming system so deeply that those names are still being used today, now wrapped in Latin patronymic suffixes that make them look Roman when their roots are actually Germanic. A Rodriguez is the son of Rodrigo. Rodrigo is a Visigothic name meaning famous ruler. The surname looks Latin. The name inside it is Germanic. The suffix wrapping it came from Roman administrative tradition. 3 civilization in a single surname. In 711 CE, an army of Arab and Berber soldiers crossed the Strait of Gibraltar from North Africa, and within 7 years had conquered almost the entire Iberian Peninsula. The Moorish presence in Spain lasted for nearly 800 years, longer than the entire history of the United States from independence to today. 800 years of Arabic language, Islamic culture, agricultural innovation, architectural genius, and genetic mixing that left a permanent mark on the Spanish population that no subsequent Christian reconquest could completely erase. The genetic evidence is clear and measurable. Modern Spanish and Portuguese populations carry between 1 and 10% North African and Middle Eastern ancestry, depending on region, with the highest concentrations in the south. Andalusia, Murcia, Extremadura, where Moorish rule lasted longest and where the population mixing was most extensive. But the Moorish layer in Spanish surnames is subtler than the Celtic or Roman layers. Here's why. After the Christian Reconquista, the centuries-long campaign to reclaim Iberian territory from Moorish rule that concluded in 1492 with the fall of Granada, Muslim and Jewish populations in Spain faced a stark choice: convert to Christianity, leave, or face oppression under the Inquisition. Many converted. And when they converted, they adopted Christian Spanish surnames, erasing the visible Arabic or Hebrew markers of their original identity. The process of taking a new surname on religious conversion was called tomar apellido, taking a name. Converts frequently adopted the surnames of their Christian sponsors, or chose prominent Christian saints' names, or simply picked common Spanish surnames that gave no indication of their original identity, which means a significant proportion of modern Spanish surnames that look entirely Christian and Latin on the surface may be carried by families whose direct ancestors were Muslim or Jewish as recently as 500 years ago. A layer of surname history that was deliberately obscured and has been quietly hidden ever since. Despite the mass conversion and surname adoption of the late 15th century, some Arabic origin elements survived in Spanish surnames, either because they were so embedded in local place names that they couldn't easily be replaced, or because they were adopted so early in the medieval period that their Arabic origin had been forgotten by the time the Inquisition was looking for it. Place name surnames beginning with al are the most identifiable Arabic survivors. The Arabic article al, meaning the, prefixes hundreds of Spanish place names and by extension hundreds of Spanish surnames. Alcazar, Alcantara, Almodovar, Almeria. These are Arabic place names that became Spanish surnames when families took the name of the town or region they came from. Medina, from the Arabic Medina, meaning city, is one of the most common Arabic origin surnames in the Spanish-speaking world, carried today by millions of people across Spain and Latin America, who may never have considered its origin. Guadalupe, Guadalquivir, Guadalajara. All of these begin with the Arabic Wadi, meaning river valley. Surnames derived from these place names carry Arabic geography encoded inside them. If your Spanish surname connects to a place name beginning with al, or contains identifiable Arabic root words, Your bloodline may be carrying a Moorish layer that 800 years of Christian Spain tried very hard to make invisible. Now, how do you actually read your specific Spanish surname against these 3 layers? If your surname is a patronymic ending in EZ, Gonzalez, Rodriguez, Martinez, Fernandez, Lopez, Sanchez, you are carrying the Roman administrative suffix applied to a personal name that is almost certainly Visigothic in origin underneath. Your surname's structure is Roman. The name inside it is Germanic. Your bloodline almost certainly carries both layers simultaneously. If your surname is a place name from northwestern Spain, Galicia, Asturias, Cantabria, the Basque Country, particularly one with unusual phonetic patterns that don't fit cleanly into Latin or Arabic, you may be carrying a Celtic or pre-Roman Iberian place name that survived both Roman and Moorish rule by being too remote and too peripheral to be fully replaced. If your surname is a common Christian saint's name, Diego, Marcos, Lucas, Santos, Cruz, de la Cruz, there is a specific historical possibility worth considering. These were the surnames most commonly adopted by Jewish and Muslim converts to Christianity in the late 15th century. People who needed a maximally Christian-sounding surname as quickly as possible. Spain is not one bloodline. It never has been. It is a layered record of every civilization that ever fought for control of one of the most strategically important pieces of land in the ancient world. And your Spanish surname is a compressed version of that entire history, sitting in a single word. Celtic warrior, Roman citizen, Visigothic noble, Moorish settler, Jewish converso. Every one of those identities is still present in the Spanish surnames being carried today. And the layer your surname connects to most directly is the layer that tells you who your people actually were before Spain became Spain. Subscribe. See ya.